Hello, Seawolves, and welcome back to a new edition of the Stony Brook Media Group. I'm Thomas Pardo.
And I'm Christopher Yang. We have a packed show today, so let's get started.
On Wednesday, former President Donald Trump hosted a rally at the NASA Veterans Memorial Coliseum in Unionville, New York. Thousands of supporters gathered outside the Coliseum waiting for hours to get a glimpse of the former president. However, the Coliseum quickly hit capacity, and many were forced to stand outside and watch through large TV screens. This is the first rally that Trump has hosted after an apparent assassination attempt at his golf course in Florida. In response, Nassau County police officials increased protection and said they were prepared to receive the former president.
Yesterday, stocks hit a record high as the S&P 500 rose 1.7% to match its last closing record in mid-July. The Federal Reserve made a dramatic cut of half a percentage point to interest rates, 2 times the normal amount. Falling interest rates are generally good news for investors as lower borrowing costs can increase corporate and investor profits. Jerome H. Powell, chair of the Fed, emphasized that this was not an emergency rate cut, but instead a decision to keep the U.S. economy in a good place.
Now let's hand it over to Imra Ahmed, who will tell us about the new School of Communication Journalism mural.
Hi everyone, I'm outside the ECC building with Emma Earhart, who's a senior studying mass communication and is the artist behind this mural. Now Emma, I wanted to ask you, what inspired you to make this design?
So this design is inspired by both what the function of the School of Communication and Journalism is here on campus, as well as in the outside world and within its students post-grad. It goes beyond just writing and reporting as many people assume it to be. It's a community connector, whether that's through entertainment, culture, activism, etc. It really kind of brings people together on multiple mediums rather than just what is kind of cut and dry.
Definitely. Now, I know you don't have any professional background in art, so what would your advice be for students who may want to contribute art to the committee?
For students who want to get involved, especially artistically, I would encourage them to just seize any opportunity that comes in front of them. That's how I ended up getting here. I responded to an email that piqued my interest, and I thought, what's the harm in just giving it a go? Whether you help out with someone else's project and that kind of helps forge that connection, or you just kind of full send it, I think that while students are here, they should take any opportunity they can to kind of scratch that itch of getting to try something new or pursue any sort of hobby or interest.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And lastly, how do you hope this inspires students who may be walking by?
I hope that when people walk by, it kind of encourages curiosity and makes them question a little bit, especially walking by this building, the ECC, and not a lot of people know what's going on inside or what its purpose serves. So I hope it makes them wonder a little bit, maybe feel inclined to come in, ask more, or just kind of get involved anywhere else on campus. You know, seeing something that encourages you to ask questions and wander here might kind of foster that elsewhere.
Right. Well, thank you so much for your time. It's looking great so far, and I can't wait for the end product.
Me neither.
Yeah, back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Imra. Now we have Jake Aricchio to tell us updates in the international news.
A Russian-guided aerial bomb struck a nursing home in Sumy, Ukraine on Thursday, injuring at least 15 citizens. The attack is part of intensified bombardments in the region, which has been targeted following Ukraine's recent offensive into Russia's Kursk region. The 5-story facility, home to almost 250 residents, suffered significant damage, leaving many elderly residents needing emergency assistance. As Russian strikes continue to target urban centers and critical infrastructure, Sumy faces severe disturbances, including power outages affecting water supply. Local officials pronounced the assaults as part of a broader strategy to terrorize civilians and to destroy essential services ahead of the winter. The United Nations reported that ongoing large-scale attacks on Ukraine's energy infrastructure have caused extensive harm, complicating efforts to provide basic utilities. With the front line shifting closer, the situation in Sumy underscores the escalating conflict and its devastating impact on civilians. A series of explosions in Beirut and across Lebanon on Wednesday resulted in at least 20 deaths and more than 450 injuries following a deadly attack on Hezbollah pagers the day before. The blast, believed to be managed by Israel, occurred during a funeral for victims of the earlier bombings, intensifying fears of escalating conflict between Israel and Hezbollah. Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant indicated a new phase in the war, while Israeli troops have been mobilized along the border. The attacks, widely condemned for their indiscriminate nature, have raised significant humanitarian concerns, with many casualties being civilians involved in Hezbollah's community services. The UN has called for an independent investigation into the bombings, highlighting the profound fear they have instigated among the Lebanese population. Hezbollah's leader is expected to address the situation in a forthcoming speech as tensions continue to rise. More than 100 wildfires are overwhelming firefighters in northern Portugal, resulting in 7 fatalities since the outbreak of devastating fires over the weekend. Prime Minister Luis Montenegro declared a state of calamity, mobilizing additional firefighting resources and calling for increased police efforts to identify those responsible for igniting the fires. Over 15,000 hectares have burned, with thick smoke affecting air operations and reaching into northwest Spain. Montenegro emphasized the ongoing danger and the need for international assistance, as Spain, France, Italy, and Morocco have deployed firefighting aircraft to aid the effort. Authorities arrested 7 men suspected of arson, while health services reported numerous injuries among firefighters and civilians. With hot, dry conditions worsening the situation, officials are warning of continued high fire risks and have prohibited the use of heavy machinery to prevent further incidents. Experts link the fires to climate change and changes in rural land management practices.
Thank you, Jake, for those informational updates. Now let's hear from Miles Reese on what's going on in the world of U.S. politics.
A 76-year-old man has been arrested following the alleged death threats he made to 6 Supreme Court justices and 2 of their family members. The charge did not name which justices were threatened, and it is unclear whether Panos Anastasio came close to carrying out his threats. He has been charged with 9 counts of making threats against a federal judge and 13 counts of making threats in interstate commerce. If convicted on all counts, he could face up to 155 years in prison. Anastasio is alleged to have sent more than 465 threatening messages using the Supreme Court's public website. These messages contain violent, racist, and homophobic rhetoric, in addition to mentions of torture, lynching, and use of firearms. The House of Representatives this past week rejected the economic proposal that would have extended current government funding well into next year. However, the proposal from the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, would have mandated states to require proof of citizenship when people register to vote, and for this year's 2024 presidential election. As a result, the chances of a government shutdown continue to grow. The rejection came from a bipartisan support, as Republicans did not approve of the spending plan and Democrats strongly opposed the new voter registration policy. Johnson said that he'll look into pursuing a Plan B to avoid a possible government shutdown, but has not shared any details yet ahead of October 1st. After a second failed assassination attempt against former President Donald Trump, the Secret Service is again under scrutiny by Congress and the public. Last week, the Secret Service prevented a shooter from firing at Trump while he was golfing in Florida. The public has questioned the gunman, how the gunman was able to get within a couple of hundred yards of Trump when he was outing. Moreover, members of Congress are dissatisfied with the Secret Service, but are troubled with whether or not they should increase its federal funding. Senator Chuck Schumer said that the Senate is prepared to provide the Secret Service with more resources, despite a lack of consensus on a new federal spending plan. President Joe Biden said that the Secret Service needs more help, but its director, Ronald Rowe, defended the organization, saying that its protective methods worked and are sound. Now let's take a look at last week's presidential debate.
On Tuesday, September 10th, Stony Brook Center for Civic Justice hosted a presidential debate watch party. Civic-minded Seawolves gathered together at the Student Activity Center in order to get a better understanding on the positions of the 2 candidates. Prior to the debate, Polling showed that Trump and Harris were neck and neck in critical battleground states. Stony Brook students share their thoughts with us prior to the debate.
What I'm really looking forward to is this is Kamala's big chance to prove her positions and her entire history to the American people. Everyone in this room, no, not just in this room, in this country, knows who Donald Trump is.
Another said they just wanted to see a respectful conversation between the two candidates.
I want to see a good conversation. I want to see each person giving the other person time to talk and to talk about policy. I want to hear the nitty-gritty. I don't want to hear oh, I'm going to make everything good, but you're not going to say anything about it. I want to hear everything. I want to hear every single point.
After the debate got underway, students quickly turned their attention to the many TV screens lining the walls. Some moments created bemusement among the crowd.
People from countries all over the world, not just South America, they're coming in from all over the world, David, all over the world, and crime rates are down all over the world because of it. But let me just one of those, David, one of those people going to be prosecuted. One of the people that burned down Minneapolis going to be prosecuted, or in Seattle.
While others gave the students something to laugh about.
I just want to clarify here, you bring up Springfield, Ohio, and ABC News did reach out to the city manager there. He told us there have been no credible reports of specific claims of pets being harmed, injured, or abused by individuals within the immigrant community.
Well, I've seen people on television.
Let me just say here, this is the
people on television say my dog was taken, and maybe that's a good thing to say for a city manager.
After the debate, we asked the students in attendance for their thoughts.
Well, I'm in political science. I'm an international relations major, so seeing both candidates' discussion of both the Ukraine-Russia war and the current war in Israel against Hamas was definitely interesting. What I found most surprising, especially from Kamala Harris's point of view, is that the Democratic Party is still aiming for a two-state solution, and especially that at least as a presidential candidate, she said that she wants to see a two-state solution created with a Palestinian security force or some way to guarantee Palestinian security, which was definitely a new line that I haven't heard a lot of Democrats.
A hot topic for this year's election is celebrity endorsements. This week I took a deep dive into how Hollywood influences the polls. Take a look.
We are going to win New York.
Donald Trump and his extremist allies intend to take our nation backward.
With less than 48 days until November 5th, we are on the horizon of one of the most unprecedented election seasons of a lifetime. In the midst of all this, a familiar strategy has thrusted voter registration numbers through the roof, and that's celebrity endorsements. A stat from Massachusetts Secretary of Commonwealth shows that since Taylor Swift's endorsement of Democratic nominee Kamala Harris, voter registration has increased by roughly 220%. The same can be seen for wrestler Hulk Hogan's endorsement for Republican nominee Donald Trump, as he has used his platform to sway voters. Now we're left with a burning question. How impactful will these endorsements be for the outcome of this election? To find out, I spoke with fellow Seawolves to hear their thoughts.
The generation is more inclined to vote for who their quote-unquote idols are voting for is because I guess in some shape or form they relate to their idols or to the celebrities.
A lot of younger crowd is in part of stan culture, so there's a lot of passion towards the artists that they like.
I spoke with Zoe Hoffner at the Stony Brook University Voter Registration Day event, and she believes that younger people over-idolize celebrities, which clouds judgment in the polls.
Celebrities have a lot of influence on the younger population and generation, especially because we don't really teach civic justice in schools. For Taylor Swift, as an example, like if somebody likes her music, maybe they'll believe that her political beliefs are correct or what she's endorsing is correct when that isn't always exactly true.
I also got the chance to speak with political science major Zachary Krieger, who's a strong advocate for voting and believes that people should challenge themselves to seek point of views besides their own.
You should definitely invest and just go out and find people who will have their own opinions and see what they have to say. Look on the internet, look all over the place. There's so much information all over communities and different organizations that people are already involved in. So why not? There's nothing to be scared of, and it's an important thing that you're doing for your country.
Miles Reese, Stony Brook Media Group.
Thank you, Miles. What a time to be alive, Tommy. Now on to the STEM section with Angelique Powell.
New research suggests moderate caffeine intake may lower risk of multiple heart-related diseases.
According to a study from the UK Biobank, the study found that consuming about 3 cups of coffee or tea daily was associated with a 38% reduced risk of developing cardiometabolic multimorbidity. With a large sample size and use of multi-biomarkers strengthen the findings, experts caution that a causal relationship has been not established and excessive caffeine intake may still pose health risks. Researchers have called for further studies to investigate the potential effects of caffeine on cardiovascular health. This Tuesday, a rare celestial event combines the harvest moon with a partial lunar eclipse, visible across North America, Europe, and parts of Asia. The harvest moon, traditionally associated with the fall equinox, appeared larger and brighter than usual due to its proximity to the horizon. The partial eclipse also led to 90% of the moon's surface being covered by Earth's shadow, creating a dramatic reddish-orange appearance known as the blood moon effect. Astronomers encourage viewers to find clear and dark locations away from city lights for the best observation of the spectacular lunar phenomenon.
Now let's shift to the world of entertainment with Joshua Lee and Aisha Diomande.
Welcome to Media Minute, where you get your latest news in entertainment and pop culture. I'm Joshua Lee.
And I'm Aisha Diomande.
Today we present to you some of the biggest moments from the 76th Annual Emmy Awards.
It was a night of history, making emotional reunions and words of encouragement. Let's dive right into the highlights.
Richard Gadd, the creator of the hit Netflix series Baby Reindeer, won 2 Emmys for his writing and acting in the comedy show. He used his speech to encourage those facing difficult times, reflecting on his personal struggles in recovery, urging perseverance.
Father and son duo Eugene and Dan Levy of Schitt's Creek hosted this year's awards, making history as the first father and son duo to do so.
And actress Jennifer Aniston and Ayo Edebiri stuns in a runway with their unforgettable looks. Unfortunately, actress Miley Cyrus wasn't in attendance.
Speaking of Miley Cyrus, the singer is currently facing some pretty serious plagiarism allegations for her song, Flowers.
Filed on Monday by Tempo Music Investments, the lawsuit accuses Cyrus's Grammy-winning song of duplicating numerous melodic, harmonic, and lyrical elements with Bruno Mars's hit song, When I Was Your Man.
According to Rolling Stone, Mars is not named a plaintiff in the lawsuit.
Granted, this isn't the first time these two songs have been compared, though many fans have noted that Flowers intentionally makes references to Mars's song.
Tempo Music is currently seeking damages and aims to prevent Cyrus from reproducing, distributing, and publicly performing the song.
So, do you think the two songs sound alike?
Honestly, it's pretty similar, but it's definitely not the same song.
Yeah, okay. Now let's see what's happening in the sports world with Nicholas Segovin.
On Saturday night, UFC 306 took place at the Sphere in Las Vegas. In the Women's Flyweight Championship, Valentina Shevchenko defeated champion Alexa Grasso, and Shevchenko became the first 2-time women's flyweight champion. In the Bantamweight Championship, Merab Dvalishvili defeated champion Sean O'Malley. Both Shevchenko and Dvalishvili won their champions fights by unanimous decisions. In a 110-109 Indiana Fever victory over the Dallas Wings at the Gainbridge Fieldhouse on Sunday, rookie Indiana phenom Caitlin Clark scored a career-high 35 points and set the WNBA rookie single-season scoring record. Her 761 points this season broke the previous mark set by Simone Augustus, who had 744 points in 2006. Clark has 329 assists, which is also a single-season WNBA record. On Tuesday, WWE announced the return of the iconic Saturday Night's main event. On Saturday, December 14th, it will be held at Nassau Veterans Memorial Coliseum in Uniondale, New York, which was the site of the first ever Saturday Night's main event back in 1985. The event will air live on NBC and simulcast on Peacock at 8 p.m. Eastern. Pre-sale for the event started on Thursday morning, and regular on-sales started this morning.
Crazy headlines across the board, Chris. I'm going to catch up with many of these stories in the future.
I can't agree more, Tommy. That's it for today's Media Group, where great stories are told by great journalists. I'm Christopher Yang.
And I'm Thomas Pardo. We leave you now with Imra Ahmed discussing the SOCJ mural with the Dean of the school, Laura Lindenfeld. See you next week.
Hi everyone, I'm outside the ACC building where they are painting this beautiful mural. I'm currently joined with our Dean, Laura Lindenfeld.
Oh my gosh, just look around at the sense of community here. People, students, faculty, staff coming together to produce something that's inviting and engaging and makes us all feel like we belong to this campus.
Right. Now specifically, what does it mean to the school?
We believe in a better, brighter world because of great communication in all its forms, and I feel like this mural demonstrates that vibrancy and deep commitment to making the world a fairer and just and more rational place.
I definitely should agree. And then lastly, can we expect more murals like this in Portland?
I would love more murals, wouldn't you?
Yes,
I'll
definitely.
be out there. You can interview me about murals any day. I think we should have a beautiful
definitely.
I'm so proud of all of the students who got involved to make this happen. I'm grateful for our staff support.